Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Samson. So our first item room contains an unknown item because it's the Curse of the Blind, and I decide not to take it up. And not because I'm a pansy, but because I want to visit the curse room first. Imagine if that item was something that gave us spirit hearts, or maybe even red health. What would happen is I would then have to sacrifice my spirit hearts, or in the other case, if I go to the curse room first, I can then take that item up and actually get healed back up to full health. So I think it's just more beneficial for us to visit the curse room first, hope to get something good out of it, and then go back to pick up our secret item and hope it's something good again. But of course, if it's health, then it means we made the right play, and if it's not, no harm done. I go down to 1 red heart, thinking, I have enough damage, what can possibly go wrong on this floor? And I stumble upon this room. And I die. That was quite surprising, I've seen this room so many times and I still managed to die somehow. For some reason I thought I was going to be safe there because of how the explosive were placed. Even though I know the right thing to do is dodge in the bottom right corner, I just stood there like an idiot, and for some reason I just managed to die. It was not the best thing in the world, but I did manage to come back to it in a practice run, did all the same thing, and then thankfully did the right thing and not have died. So from now on out, this is a practice run, which is identical to my original run. It can be 2 differences. I've only visited 3 rooms, but still I tried to make them identical so you don't feel cheated or robbed, maybe that I know some additional information about the run and then use that to my advantage. I'm trying to play them as if this is my first time playing it. And for that reason, of course, I think it's important for me to kind of state that this is a practice run. So for all intents and purposes, this is just a regular daily run that I'm going through, and the only difference is at the end, my score won't be representative of what I actually ranked because I managed to die in the 3rd room, and I won't get the score that I actually achieve in this practice run. So with that out of the way, we did manage to beat a Hunt. Thankfully he did not hit us once. It was kind of scary to just enter into this room with only 1 red heart. Thankfully we can still get hit once, but obviously the little ghosts can be quite annoying, and the Hunt itself is sometimes just causes you so much trouble. That's how Isaac works. Some days you're just gonna have a lot of trouble against certain bosses, and the other days you're just gonna be able to stomp them too easily. Thankfully the fact that we did hit ourselves 4 times and did get that damage boost as Samson really helped us out. In the fact that we were able to beat the enemies much faster than we would otherwise be able to, which means we minimize or reduce our risk of death, because of course we are dealing with the enemies faster, so we don't have to dodge as much. Here I'm just kind of going through the motions, and thankfully we do find the mitre, which is a very solid item, especially on Samson, because what you want to end up doing is hitting yourself a bunch of times, and for that you just need a way to regenerate HP. And the mitre is actually a very good item because it really increases the spawn rate of your spirit hearts, or not spawn rate, but I would say that just in general you get to pick up and see more spirit hearts, which means we can also afford to actually enter curse rooms on the behalf of just using our blue or black health and still manage to get the damage bonus as Samson. If of course we didn't have this item, I probably wouldn't feel as safe doing it, just because spirit hearts are actually kind of hard to come across by, and the fact we actually traded 2 of our red health on this floor means we have just so much less to work for or work with when we're actually trying to get ourselves hit in curse rooms, or maybe the IV bag or the blood banks in general. But we do take up both the shovel and the other devil deal item, the multi-dimensional baby. Multi-dimensional baby I just like because I think if you use it well, it really increases your damage output, and the shovel I took for no other reason than to maybe find a few crawl spaces, and I was thinking if this run was actually really bad, what I could do is just end up skipping a floor maybe, and that way I would be able to catch up to boss rush or hush, because this is a run that goes to the cathedral. Thankfully, because we have so much health here and we were really able to even got that touch out of our treasure room, our damage is not lacking, and this is actually starting to look like a pretty strong run. The fact that we can just generate so many spirit hearts is really good for us, not just because we can get hit a lot, and not just because we can trade them away to get the damage bonus, which I've already said like 15 times, but it's also very useful because now we don't have to worry about red health at all. I mean, we can still stay at very low health relative and still afford to take those high risk plays like taking devil deals, hitting ourselves a lot of times, just trading our spirit hearts away without having to worry about, like in this case you can see me playing the blood bank a bunch of times so I can get down to 2 spirit hearts and only half a heart remaining. And that might be crazy, why are you doing this? And the fact is, I really want that IV bag, because the IV bag will really allow me to just have a strong run, not just have a strong run on a floor when I can actually afford to trade my health away for damage. And for that reason, I'm just, maybe going a bit ballistic here and just really trading that health in to hopefully get the IV bag. And thankfully it does happen, with enough plays. I think I did trade like more than 12 hearts away, and I did manage to get the IV bag, which means that we can start using the IV bag on next floors to actually increase our damage almost permanently. The only thing that is required is us using it 6 times, which means that on average we have to get 3 spirit hearts per floor, and I think that's very reasonable with the Mitre to actually just be really strong, because that damage bonus, especially with that touch and especially with quad shot and the multi-dimensional baby, any damage up is just so useful. And the fact we basically have it on command means we can really do some crazy things with it. Thankfully, this floor was the Depths XL floor, and I was holding on to the Sun card for the Mount floor, so then I can find the boss room faster. But the fact that this was an XL floor means I kind of get the Sun card, the usage of the Sun card for 2 floors instead of just 1 floor, so that's obviously super helpful. And the fact that we have IV bag in combination with the Polaroid we're going to get from our mom fight means that we're practically also invincible, so we can expect not to get hit at all. I still manage to, just because that's me, I just get hit a lot. But if you do have that combination of items of IV bag, which means you can inflict damage on yourself on command, and if you have the Polaroid, which means you can, whenever you're at a half a heart interval and you get hit via the IV bag, for example, you do get that temporary shield that lasts a few seconds. And the only thing we're really missing now to start going ballistic is an orbital, and thankfully that is exactly what we get here. It's the guillotine. It's not the best item, obviously, but it does have an orbital with it, and the fact that we are practically invincible, like I said, we can use our IV bag once, get the shield, and then when the next wave comes we can do it again. And some of the bosses will even drop red health, which means we can trade red health away, not instead of spirit hearts. But here I would be very comfortable even going down to like 1.5 hearts remaining, just because I really feel like the Mitre is such a strong dealer for us. And just because we have this item combination, we can do a lot of very silly wacky stuff and just run into enemies as fast as we can. Later on, it's also useful or recommended to do this if you have items like the Poison Touch, because what happens is when you poison enemies, they actually start producing black health, and with that way you're just never running out of hearts, and you can basically just keep doing contact damage to them with your poison. And you can see just so many spirit hearts falling down, and it's super crazy. I really like this combo, and IV bag I think is overall on daily is just a very good item, but on Samson it's almost like his spacebar item. Even though you don't start with it, you really never want to give up the IV bag on Samson. It's like maybe the D6 with Isaac, or maybe like the Box of Friends with Lilith. When you have that IV bag, it really feels right in the hands of Samson, because your damage gets increased so much, and the fact you're able to generate so many coins and money means you can spend it on just a lot of fun things that benefit just any character, but also Samson. Another very interesting aspect of having the IV bag is not only the ability to dodge damage via the Polaroid. Even if you don't have the Polaroid, what you can do is intentionally hit yourself and abuse those invisibility frames to stay safe of damage. So maybe if you have a consumable behind spikes and you don't want to walk on it, what you can do is just hit yourself with the IV bag, walk over the spikes during your invisibility frames, pick up the consumable and come back out without actually taking any hits of damage. You do take damage, but because IV bag does not count against your damage penalty, it means you're essentially taking a hit of damage for free, and it's not costing you any points if you do it that way. But if you were just to walk over the spikes, of course, then the damage penalty, you would get the damage penalty because you did get hit. Just IV bag has so many opportunities and usages in dailies. I think that it's really a shame not to use it whenever you can. And the fact that we have some red health also allows us at this point to use it as much as we can. And like I said, we really should not be getting hit here. Just that combination alone is strong enough to kind of carry us. What's even better, we even got the wafer, which means that instead of taking us 1 full red health, which is something that can be very problematic when you have the IV bag, because if you want to trigger your your invincibility, Polaroid invincibility, you have to be at a half a heart remaining. But if you're only working in intervals of full hearts and you get back to the interval full hearts, it's actually very hard to get back to a half heart interval. And for that reason, that's maybe why going past the mom, the F8EB Back loses its functionality. But the fact that we got the wafer here just kind of circumvents all of that. It allows us to stay very powerful. And not only that, even if you do get hit with a wafer, we're only taking half the damage penalty because it's only half a heart instead of a full heart. So the wafer, obviously a very good item in this situation. You'll see just how strong we are when we actually do this combo against Isaac. We poison him, we use the guillotine, we use our multidimensional baby to just shoot him, and 3/4 of his health is gone. Even though we don't have any spectacular items, just this combination of items really allows us to be very efficient in killing these enemies. I tried for the poison to actually get the last hit on him, because if you do poison him, I mentioned that you get a black heart, or there's a chance of him dropping a black heart. But then, sadly, that didn't happen. I just, it doesn't really matter. Like, having 3 more spirit hearts, it's gonna increase our points by somewhat, but not really enough, I think, to warrant us going too hard or trying too hard to get them. And the fact, of course, that we have the mitre just means that we can expect just them as random drops from enemies. With that said, that actually concludes our daily run, or at least the practice of our daily run. But yeah, this was done totally fresh. I didn't know anything in advance, and the fact we even get a skeleton key here to increase our consumable points. And this was actually a very good run in general, and I feel like if this was my daily, I would have played it very similarly. We have 42,000 points, or if you look at the scoreboard, it would put us on the 23rd. So that's obviously a very good score for a daily, and I'm sad that I didn't manage to die. If I only left myself with 1.5 heart remaining like I planned to, I wouldn't have, so maybe that's the takeaway to take from this. Never think you're safe at only 1 red heart. Always have at least 1.5 hearts, at least on the first floor, so you can maybe circumvent those rooms that damage you for 1 full red health. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you next time.